The term statement game has to be one of the most overused and most trite expressions in all of professional sports. That said, there's really no other thing that you can call what the Raiders did to the Broncos Sunday night except a statement game. It was a game where they went in. At the time, the Las Vegas line had the Raiders actually as a -1 underdog. No, wait, they were a -1 favorite. My bad. It was even for pretty much most of the week, so you really can't go in there and call what the Raiders did an upset per se. But going into this matchup, everyone's kind of like, okay, well the Raiders are 6-2, but who did they beat? It took them overtime to beat Tampa Bay. They've been beating teams like Jacksonville. They've been beating teams like who else? New Orleans. It took them, to the very last play of the game. They had to go for 2 to win that one. Is everybody kind of saying the Raiders are pretenders? So what? They won 5 games on the road. Their defense really, really struggled at the beginning of the year, and they haven't been able to establish the run. And they got a really good offense, but that does not a championship team make. Well, anyway, what this 30-20 win over the Broncos said basically to the national sports media was, you're wrong. We're legitimate. We're a real team. All these things you've been criticizing us about all season long, we're going this game and we're going to show you otherwise. We're going to go in there and we're going to run the ball. We're going to go in there and we're going to play hard defense. We're going to go in there and we're going to beat up the defending Super Bowl champions. And that's exactly what the Raiders did. And now they're 7-2. They got a bye week, and they're going to be atop the AFC West for at least another 2 weeks. And the thing about this game, and there's so many things to take away from it, this was a game where don't let this final score, lead you in any other direction. The Raiders own this game from start to finish. They jumped out to a 13-0 lead, and every time they let the Broncos get back in the game, the Raiders came in there with a big defensive stop. They hit a huge run to take the Broncos right back out of it. And, you look at the stats here. Trevor Siemian, he's 18 for 37, 283 yards, 2 touchdowns, compared to Derek Carr, who went 20 for 31 for 184 and no touchdowns, which is crazy because the game against Tampa Bay, he threw 4 for over 500 yards. So if you show me those stats without knowing anything about the game, I'd be like, oh, man, Broncos must have run wild on this one. Fun I use the term run, because then you go down and you look at the rushing differential. What do the Broncos do? 33 yards on 12 carries. What do the Raiders do? 208 yards on 43 carries, 3 touchdowns, all punched in by Latavius Murray, who had a 114-yard, 20-carry day. That is old school football. You watch the game, that's what Chris Collinsworth said over and over again. The Raiders they're playing old school football, and that's how they beat the Broncos. They didn't go in there with this new wave, high flying, let's score 400 aerial yards per game sort of motif that you're seeing everywhere else. They said, we're going to beat you Tecmo Bowl style. We're going to play hard-hitting defense. We're going to line the guy. We're going to run the ball right up the gut. And we're going to knock your teeth out. And that's what the Raiders did. And it was effective. And for me, I think this has to be the most impressive victory of the year for the Raiders. Number one, they beat the defending Super Bowl champions. This is the best team the Raiders have played all year. Maybe the Chiefs might be better. Maybe the Falcons might be better. But the Raiders won. They beat them. There's no way around that. None of them beat them. They beat them bad. They made the Broncos not look like a defensive juggernaut. They made the Broncos look like a team who's going to finish 7-9. So that, to me, is extraordinarily impressive. But the thing that really gets me about this game, okay, number one, is the way the Raiders won. They're not a one-trick pony. They went in there and they ran the hell out of that ball. They didn't even need to go in there and dial up Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree for 2 touchdowns apiece. They didn't need a bazillion aerial yards. They just ran the ball consistently. They ran it steady down the left side. The O-line, oh my God, just looked absolutely incredible in this game. Just allowing the Raiders to get so many huge pickups. And that's something that not a lot of good teams, or not a lot of teams, period, in the NFL can do. I mean, pretty much every team in the league, I think, is capable of getting at least 300 aerial yards a game. I mean, that's pretty much part and parcel. But to get over, almost 200 yards of rushing per game, there's maybe 5 or 6 teams in the entire league that can do that consistently. And the Raiders, they're one of them. And if you run the ball, you control the clock. And if you control the clock, you usually win games. The Raiders, this one had possession for 41 minutes? So that's a huge, 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 huge thing for the Raiders. See, they're turning the corner there in terms of the way they're playing games and the way they're strategizing their offense. Now, the defense, Oh my God, the defense. This looked great. You had Reggie Nelson get the interception. Granted, you had a couple of catches. Trevor Siemian really should not have had 283 yards. I mean, he got lucky on a couple of passes. He burned us on the deep ball. But, by and large, well, then you also talk about the Broncos. Yeah, they had, their best two cornerbacks out of the game. They had a lot of defensive players shooken up. But the Raiders still went in there, and their defense looked better than the Broncos. I mean, Von Miller, he looked good, don't get me wrong, but Khalil Mack looked better. And the difference is, you take a look at the Raiders' quarterbacking, you take a look at their O-line, it's no contest. There was pressure on the front, and the Raiders held up. Pressure on the Broncos, they got sacked. They got sacked, and they turned the ball over. The Raiders, they got hit a couple of times, but no turnovers at all. Despite some scares here and there, but it didn't happen. And that's a huge thing. To where you go in and you win the turnover differential. You can do that, you're going to win a lot of ball games. That's a huge, huge stat to have. And like I said, the defense has been there. They're playing great fundamentals. There's like 4 3-and-outs for the Broncos to begin the game. They just weren't doing anything. There's like a point in the game, like early, like in the first quarter, or even the second quarter, where it was like the Raiders had over 100 yards of offense, and the Broncos had like 9. Like you had to wait until the second quarter until they got their first down. And that's great, because the Raiders have spent a lot of money in the offseason building that dynamite defense, and they're finally, it took them 9 games, but they're finally starting to play like a very, very good playoff-worthy defensive unit. In tandem with the offense, we know they can sling the ball. Now we know they can run the ball. The O-line is going to stand up. The Raiders, folks, are for real. Like I said, an overused and trite cliche, but it's true. This is a statement game, and everybody heard it. All right, so moving ahead for the Raiders. We got a bye week. So we're going to be rooting for pretty much every other team in the AFC West to lose. I think they're all out of division. So, of course out of division. They're not playing each other. So we're going to be rooting for teams like the Dolphins to win over the weekend. And after that, Raiders return. They have that Monday night game in Mexico City against the Texans, which Texans clearly are a team that if they can't get their offense going, they can be stopped easily. We've seen that happen before in a couple of games. And like I said, the Raiders are 5-0 on the road. It's technically considered a home game, but come on, it's Mexico. It's not a home game. So they've been playing perfect on the road. We'll see what happens when it goes south of the border, when Los Raiders take on Los Texans. And we'll get to that when we get to that. But just for now, just to kind of sum up what's happening, you look at the Raiders now, you got to stop saying this is a team that has potential. They don't have potential anymore. They're in action. They're moving. We're seeing that kinetic energy turn into production. This is a team where right now, if they keep playing the way they're going to play, and not only are they going to make the playoffs for the first time since 2002, this is a team that can win the AFC West. And the AFC West is the best division of all football. It's so stacked that right now we've got the defending Super Bowl champions will go 10-6 and only finish probably 3rd in the division. That's how good it is. So just seeing what we've seen so far from the Raiders, they've had 2 losses against the Chiefs. That was a bad one. Falcons, at least that one was close. We'll see what happens. I think the Raiders at this point, they've got 7 games left on the schedule. We'll see what happens. I don't want to make any predictions, but just from the way they've been playing so far, and if we can carry over that momentum from the Denver game throughout the rest of the season, folks, it's going to be a very, very, very good time of year to be a Raiders fan. And for the first time in years and years, we might just be seeing some silver and black in January. And I can't wait for that.